Feels Out Loud, brought to you by Becoming Together Therapy and Wellness. This is your host, Becky McNattin, along with the lovely Tara Martini. We're glad to have you listening as we live and share stories of mental health.
So, since this radio show came into fruition, I have wanted to have this guest on our show.
Oh, I know.
I'm so excited. So, as a therapist, much of my education regarding the nervous system was related to the power of psychotherapy and modalities within our umbrella of study. Common things I would hear from my doctors when I would go in, my medical doctors, would be, I would say the trauma or the stress or the grief, and they would say, well, yes, your cortisol levels, we just assume are very high because of that. But there was never really anything they provided a solution for. It was just kind of like acknowledged that, like, yes, everything's kind of out of whack. To me, it was this idea of healing and regulating my body just then solely relied on therapy, talk therapy. So I'm going to go to a therapist, I'm going to talk about it, and that was the extent of it.
Yep.
In no way, to be honest, did I ever think, no offense to our guest speaker, that going to a chiropractor would have a connection to my nervous system and be able to heal, because it just wasn't ever something anyone ever shared with me. It was like this beautiful secret, but I wasn't in on the secret yet. So that wasn't until I really met Dr. Lauren, where it was my introduction to her world that sparked a desire to learn more about, that connection between our nervous system, trauma, and chiropractic services.
Which is what we're going to spend the whole show on today, everybody. If you're listening,
yes.
Chiropractic care and the connection to the way our body stores experiences.
Yep. And how we, through work and through beautiful partners like a chiropractor, we can work to heal our bodies. And so, Dr. Lauren, am I an outlier in my experience, or do you find that many people lack an education about the marriage between chiropractic work and the nervous system?
No, I think that's what everyone thinks. You go to a chiropractor, you go when your neck hurts, your back hurts, or you have headaches, right? You never think about going to a chiropractor for really anything besides musculoskeletal complaints, right? And so it's a very different aspect when we're bringing in more of that nervous system talk. Now people are like, what are you even talking about? So it's super common that people are like, yeah, that's weird.
And maybe not even putting together that musculoskeletal issue, like a back issue or a neck issue, might be because or rooted with the nervous system.
Manifesting with stress, right? And so, it's a crazy world that I'm sure we'll get into very deeply here. But no one thinks of going to a chiropractor for these things because it's not really what society tells you or your doctors tell you that a chiropractor is for. And to their defense, they don't know. Right. And so it's kind of us bridging that gap then, for sure.
And educating. And I think that's what's key to remember is so much, and we've talked about on the show about the somatic experience of we don't realize that anxiety, depression, trauma, all those things lie within our bodies and have an impact on how we feel. We just think, I'm tense, my heart is racing, I better go to the doctor, right? Not, do I have these things where there's a remedy of a combination of therapy and then also chiropractic services?
Totally. You just don't think that things sit nice and deep in that nervous system of yours. So
and we like to see, perhaps because we're just compartmentalized as human beings, we like to see that emotions are somehow separate from our physical experience. When so much of chiropractic care that we'll talk about today is intertwined in the way that our emotions experience the things that we go through in life. And so I can't wait to have this discussion today. All things...
Long time coming.
All things healing our nervous system.
Yes.
And recognizing even what's going on with our nervous system. It's a fascinating topic. Right now we're going to take a short commercial break, but stay tuned for way more discussion on the chiropractic world of healing. Thank you for listening to Feels Out Loud. We will be back in just a moment.
You don't never need help from nobody else.
Welcome back, everyone, to Feels Out Loud, brought to you by Becoming Together Therapy and Wellness. I am Becky McNattin, along with Tara Martini. I want to dive right back into our discussion with Dr. Lauren here.
Let's do it, girl.
Yeah.
All right, so Dr. Lauren has taken some time out from Be Well Chiropractic Services and is here to talk to us about the world of what it's like to be a chiropractor. So, Dr. Lauren, please share with us just a bit about you as a human and how your journey took you to becoming a chiropractor.
Totally. So I recently found out that I'm having twins, so that's exciting. That's like a good nervous system stress for me. No, so that's a little bit about me outside. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But I would say what really led me into chiropractic is I've always loved like kids and like women's health and all that. Like even since I was a kid, I knew I wanted to work with kids.
Okay.
And so I thought I wanted to be an OB. I thought I wanted to be a pediatrician. I thought I wanted to be a teacher, and then I went to marketing and, 180. But then so I'm lucky that I have an aunt and uncle who are chiropractors, and my brother's a chiropractor in Chaska. And so I was kind of always surrounded by this. My uncle was always like, whenever I wanted to be an OB, he's like, you want to be a midwife? And I was like, okay, not true. And so I was always surrounded with this more like holistic model of health and really raised in that as well. But never really knew it, kind of really took it for granted.
Right. Didn't even know because you only know what you know.
Right.
Right, exactly. And I would say we melded the models between traditional and more Western medicine, or traditional medicine and Eastern medicine rather, together. And so then when I was in I think my high school I was watching Food Inc., the documentary, and just realized I was like, wow, we live in a world that's just like not complete, right? Like not whole, like it's a little corrupt, maybe, if I'd be so bold. And I was like, I just need to do something different for this.
Wow.
And along this time, I was also a volleyball player in high school, and I was not super good. And I kept getting hit in the head. And so I had a bunch of concussions in high school.
Okay.
And I went through all the protocols, and I went through all these things, but like, I just like could not pay attention. I feel like recover fully from these concussions. And I feel like it really affected me in school. And I was a junior, I think, and I had like my third concussion, and my uncle's like, just go to the chiropractor. Like, just go. And like, cause we weren't going consistently. Like, we were just going like whenever we had back pain, right? Like, or whenever we felt I saw my uncle and aunt. And so I went to the chiropractor, and I literally like describe it as like I feel like my lights turned on, because
That's a good way to describe it.
Yeah, and it was like we weren't. I would say probably with the chiropractor I was seeing getting into half of the things that I get into with my patients probably, but it was like I just felt like all of a sudden it was like, oh, like when my neighbor's tapping their pencil, I'm not like, why are you tapping your pencil? Instead of like just not paying attention to my teacher and being able to redirect some attention and energy and focus. And it's something that I have struggled with my whole life, right? ADHD is probably something we all struggle with to some capacity, that focus and cognition, right?
So many people struggle with that.
Yeah, it's super common. Even as an adult, it's super common.
Yep.
But it was like, whoa, like, is this what Adderall feels like? Like, because like I was finally able to be like, oh, like I can focus, and it changed my life.
All through your chiropractic services
through
you received.
My junior year chiropractic services. And
wow.
Like I was a kid, like my mom was a teacher, and so she was very aware of like ADHD and all of the more like just like learning services that school offered. So I was tested for all of these things and never really qualified. Like I'd go to a special room to burn some steam because I was a high energy kid.
Right.
But it was like, oh, this is great. Like I love this. Right. But it was always like, it was never changing anything, right? It was still when I got in the classroom, I was still like, right? And so then it was like, after I had my experience with the chiropractor and started going consistently, and then I watched Food Inc., I was like, I'm going to be a chiropractor. Like, of course, why wouldn't I be a chiropractor, right? Oh. And so then I was just lucky that I had amazing mentors, and I went to my undergrad in Eau Claire, UW Eau Claire, and had amazing mentors there who really showed me more this like nervous system side of it. My brother Pete is an amazing mentor. He practices very similar to me, and as well as my aunt and uncle. And so it was kind of just one of those things that like naturally progressed. And as we talk more today, it like opened my world to like what chiropractic actually helps with versus like it's not just neck and back pain.
Right.
It's ADHD, it's colic, it's helping your body process through stressful situations because your nervous system stores all these things. And they just manifest because we push them down and then symptoms show up.
Right.
So,
well, and how amazing to get the opportunity to share with so many people today.
Yeah,
right?
and you mentioned that, or a few minutes ago, that you said you always wanted to work with kids. You have a focus in kind of pediatric families. What led you to that?
Totally. I think because I felt like the weird kid in school who had to work really hard to even just like be average at
felt
school.
Different.
Yeah, totally. And it was like, you know, all your friends are like, oh, we didn't study at all, and I got an A. And I'm like, I didn't study at all, and I got a B minus. Like,
well,
and it's hard.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No.
Thinking about what you just said seconds ago, coupled with what you said a few minutes ago about your ADHD experience, your struggle with paying attention, I can't imagine the toll that took on your mental health.
Yeah.
And so to then find the solution in chiropractic services,
Totally.
did you notice it different then as well, understanding the marriage between mental health and your physical health?
Yeah. And honestly, not till I was an adult, probably. Until I saw
so not
that.
when you were in the midst of it.
No, and my mom probably saw it before I did. Maybe just because I wasn't aware of it. But, like, I would be the kid who, like, always had a stomach ache or was sick or, like, around the days that I had tests or a big, you know, a big stressful activity. And so I would say I probably still am an avoidant by nature.
Okay.
Like, if it's hard and I'm like, oh, that makes me nervous, I probably, like, step back from it a little bit. And as, like, I've kind of gone through my own therapy journey, like, then it's like, oh, yeah, like, I didn't realize, or as I see patients in my office now, it's like, my whole senior year, I don't think I ever was, like, nervous or, like, missed a day of school because, like, I had a stomach ache because I didn't want to take a math test.
Right.
It was just like, okay, like, I had to take a math test. It's a lot easier for me to now focus and enjoy school.
It completely unlocked something for you.
Yeah, for sure. It just, like, it turned my lights on. It turned my nervous system and brain on to kind of lift the fog, lift the haze. And interestingly, as I've been an adult and going through more of just like that therapy and processing, like Eau Claire, when I went to college, you got free therapy through school, and in my chiropractic school, I got free positive psychology stuff.
That's
and I was like,
amazing.
Well, might as well do it. I love free things. I'm a sucker for free things.
That's why we get along so well.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah.
And so just going through that and unpacking, you know, just a lot of, I don't think I probably had this mega childhood trauma. I probably had no childhood trauma, honestly. But, like, it's just, like, these different experiences that build up from school and how you feel different and how that impacts, you know, you as a senior in high school versus a 25-year-old. It's the same thing. We just call it something different, right? And that's
absolutely
the same thing I say with kids, especially I know we're going back to the kids thing, is symptoms are often the same for different diagnoses, right? So when we think about a kid, we think about a baby with colic, right? They can't eat, sleep, or poop or regulate, right? But when we think of a toddler who can't eat, sleep, or poop, we call it ear infections, or we call it constipation. Or when we think of, you know, or big emotions is a big one for toddlers, right? When we think of a 7 to 9-year-old, we call it anxiety. And then when we talk about high schoolers, we call it ADHD. And then we talk about it as adults. It's like, it's all the same symptoms, right?
It's a great point.
It's just manifesting differently. And unfortunately, our system, we like to like just say we're going to grow out of things. But it's like, we don't actually grow out of the symptoms. We just grow into a new diagnosis, right?
Wow.
And so as I think back about kids now and really how I got into that, I love little kids. Little kids are like the most pure, like, joys of light. Like, I just truly love them. And it's like, okay, if we can stop this storm, if you were a kid born with a ton of birth trauma, you got forceps, you were pulled out of the birth canal, right? And you have a ton of stress already, just physically, and whether that was prenatal stress from mom, because pregnancy is stressful.
Right.
Well, and going off of that, can you share with our audience that, and I think we mentioned this once in an adjustment of babies absorb in the womb.
Totally.
I mean, it's not talking, it starts at birth.
No.
Can you just go into that just a little bit?
So, like, I think I deal a lot with prenatal, And the prenatal period is so important because your mom's nervous system is literally developing baby's nervous system as well, right? Baby's learning to regulate on how mom learns to regulate and how mom regulates. Like the umbilical cord.
In the womb.
In the womb. Like literally the umbilical cord, I joke, like, yes, it gets us our nutrients. It gets us all the things to make baby like grow and plump and beautiful. But it's also the power cord to literally teach baby everything that happens, right? And so,
wow.
And like sometimes like we have stress, right? We're never going to go away from stress, right? But it's like if mom's being inundated with, you have all of these things wrong with you all the time, and we're just in chronic stress, this baby is then nerves that fire together, wire together. Meaning that if they're constantly firing in stress, your nerves, mom and baby, are going to wire in stress.
Yeah.
So then we see things, I mean, in more the prenatal term, like breech babies, super common, where babies are head up and then they should be head down for a vaginal delivery. We see a lot of like preterm labors. We'll see a lot of need for induction or really slow, drawn out labor and delivery. So the moms that are laboring for 40 hours because their body doesn't feel safe, right? And that's the same thing with babies. Then babies come out either low APGAR scores, they come out and they're super tight. Like you'll see, gosh, that's a really strong baby. I never want to see a strong baby. I want to see floppy babies, right? Strong babies means that we have a lot of tension, right? If babies can hold their head up as a newborn, you need to go see a chiropractor. You need to go get some form of body work done. I'm obviously going to say you should go see a chiropractor. But that's not normal. That means that baby has stress that's stuck. Right.
Interesting.
So we say this like perfect storm happens from conception, right? Conception's a huge part of that. Pregnancy is a huge part of it. And then how baby's born and raised, right? And parents do a great job raising their kids, right? It's not has anything to do with like your baby accidentally fell off the couch. Like it happens, right?
We're human.
We're humans. Yeah. But it has to do with how that baby's able to perceive and respond to environment, right?
Sure.
So that's going to be a big thing going off of that then too is like prenatal kind of sets our baby up for how they perceive this external world that they're born into and really making sure that, you know, we're able to have this like kind of good newborn experience and this new good kid experience that we want. But then often we're met with colic and reflux. We're met with crying babies all day. Like, and then that stresses mom out more. Yeah. And then mom's mental health tanks because their babies are crying all day. And then their milk supply drops because baby doesn't want to latch because they're uncomfortable. Then they have to switch to formula and they didn't want to switch to formula. And you can see like where this like snowball effect happens.
Yeah.
And
a vicious cycle.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the babies too. And it's like we're all stressed out. Right. And it just kind of keeps building on top of each other.
It's
so interesting.
My mind is blown.
Well, so in the chiropractic world, there's a term called Webster certified.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that means.
Sure,
and
totally.
I'm guessing, okay, listeners, I want to just pause for a second. If you're kind of like me and you're feeling slightly wowed right now, I'm with you in when you focus on children, prenatal, I'm not really sure that many of us exist in a system where this would get brought up to us about what a stress circumstance might be. We maybe bring our children to the doctor for an ear infection, but we're not understanding it from a nervous system place.
Totally.
And so if you're sitting there listening going, oh my gosh, I am right there with you.
Same.
In learning, which is in part why we do this show, in learning together about some of these ways in which to conceptualize health and wellness and the impact to mental health. Totally. And so, to go back to this then, circle moment, this Webster certified, tell us what that is.
Totally. So Webster's is a technique that's designed for pregnant moms to essentially give baby more space in the womb to get into the optimal birth position.
Okay.
Right? And so, again, it's a big one used for breech babies. I get a lot of moms who call me at 36 weeks after they've had their 36-week ultrasound. They're like, my baby's head up. I want a vaginal birth. And I'm like, great. We have 4 weeks to try to flip this baby, right? It's an important disclaimer. Chiropractic does not flip babies. But Webster's technique and chiropractic care helps to give baby the room to flip. So
that is an important distinction.
Yes. It's a big, essentially like mom's body. And especially women's hips, right? You've probably, maybe you've heard this in more of the how stress manifests in bodies, but emotionally, women tend to hold a lot of stress in their hips, right? And emotional stress, not just like, physical stress, like I'm birthing this child.
Right.
Like emotional stress gets stored in our hips.
Got it.
And so then when we think about the importance of our hips in birth, right, our hips literally have to expand out to make room for this baby's head to come out.
Yeah.
Right? You're squeezing a watermelon out of the hole the size of a lemon.
Yeah.
And so if our hips aren't moving, it's like, well, they're not moving in pregnancy either. And so baby space gets kind of contorted. If you think about if we squeezed a balloon in all different ways.
Got it.
Baby just doesn't have enough room to flip. So Webster's is going to be a big one to help not only optimize that space, but also it's going to help a lot to just give mom's nervous system a break to actually say, like, okay, here's the stress that we've maybe been storing in our hips since we were 18-year-old girls, and we had one, a bad experience with high school, and we were storing all this emotional trauma in our hips.
Sure.
And then that just manifests during pregnancy, and, like, unfortunately, sometimes it manifests into a breech baby, and you have all these other maybe symptoms as well. But it's like Webster's then is also going to take that nervous system approach and help unwind that stress and help your body like actually release it. And so it's crazy. I have a lot of women when I adjust their hips, whether they're pregnant or not, who actually like get this big like emotional release when we adjust them.
I was just wondering about that.
Yeah.
When you find yourself doing adjustments, that you're talking about creating space in our bodies, and that tension probably ends up in a way we're not even realizing, particularly if it's long term, that I would think you would end up with emotive experiences even in your office.
Right, because if you think of the nervous system, right, brain, spinal cord, and the network of nerves that go to every cell, tissue, and organ in our body, that's really what we're dealing with. And our spinal cord, the actual bone, or the spinal bones rather, or our spine, is what protects that system, right? It's the only system that's completely encased in bone because it's so important.
Wow.
And so then it's like when we're releasing stress that's maybe stuck in the cord or stuck in more the nervous system as a whole, it's like the body's like, I've been holding on to this for, I've somewhat 20 plus years.
Right.
Sure.
And it's like, I feel good, like physically, right? But it's like, I don't know. And I have people, I don't know why I'm crying.
Right.
And it's like, well, I probably do. Like, you probably didn't tell me why you're crying, but you probably had some super big stressor sometime in your life, right?
What a beautiful response to your services to see someone feel.
Totally.
Yeah, it's magical.
It's amazing. So obviously I'm biased. I think the world you've created in your practice is astonishing and beautiful, and what you've created in your practice speaks to the care I think you have for your patients. And I was baffled by the idea that when we started our journey together and we would look at my scans and you had visible proof of what was going on inside my body. And that was so emotional because it was almost like I felt it and I knew. And to see proof and to be validated and for you to say was like, and then also to say, but I can help, is such an incredible thing to have, to be a patient and leave with evidence that like I am seen and I am heard and I'm supported.
Yeah.
So can you please walk our listeners through, obviously I've lived the experience with you, but what does the process look like? Because I know people are like, well, what does a scan mean? And what evidence can you have
Good point.
when you're just getting an adjustment?
Good point.
Right?
Absolutely.
So what does that look like?
Yeah. So I would say like my job is not to guess with your health. I love. I always joke that I actually didn't like science, but I do like science. But I want to see that there's an objective measure that we're following, right? Because if we're just like feeling for tension, and sometimes that's hard for patients to follow because like they're not trained to test for tension, right? Or feel what I feel. And so these scans are amazing. They're called the CLA Insight scans. But they really test how your nervous system is functioning. So the first scan that we take in our office is a thermal scan. So it's measuring heat and inflammation that's coming off your spine. So chronic inflammation, as we all have probably heard in every radio commercial or every TV commercial, like chronic inflammation is bad, right?
Yeah.
And it's a body's stress response. And so what we look for is that first scan really shows us like where your brain and body are disconnected, where maybe I compare it to a garden hose, right? Is maybe like, you know, when you kink a garden hose off and water slows down.
Yeah.
When we have more inflammation, it is like kinking off a garden hose. So your brain can't talk to a certain part of your body as well, right? And over time, it's like a bad game of telephone, like the game you play when you're a little kid. It's like a bad game of telephone. And your body's like, I have no idea what I'm supposed to be responding to.
Sure.
And that's when we start to manifest more of these symptoms, right?
We
Or
don't have the
warning signs.
skills to acknowledge, like, this
Exactly.
is going on. We just know we're experiencing the ick.
Right. And you only feel, this is crazy, 10% of what happens in your body. 90% of your body has to do with function. And so, like,
Wow.
I always say to patients, like, I care about how you feel and I care that your back hurts, but, like, let's talk about this 90% that had to wear down first before this 10% showed us that you're having these warning signs or symptoms, right? And so this first scan that we do really shows us where these warning signs and symptoms are and where is stress being stuck in your system, right? And then the next one we do is a muscle scan. And this one shows us, like, I care about your tight muscles. I care that they tight. I care that they hurt. My job is not to rub them out. My job is to figure out why they're tight in the first place, because our body doesn't do things frivolously, right? Our body is smart. Our body is self-adaptable. It's self-maintaining. It is all of these things, right? But under the right conditions. And so
Sure.
if we talk, again, go back to that first scan, we have stress stuck in all of these crazy parts of our system. Our muscles are going to respond to that, right? And so if we say, like, oh, my neck hasn't moved since I was 17 years old, it's like, well, that's just because your body's responding to a bunch of stress that has been stuck in your system since that time,
Yeah.
right? And we even see this with little kids with, like, ADHD and anxiety, or with ADHD especially, is, like, they're so wound up, we call them raging bulls, where, like, they're like bulls in a china shop where they're, like, their ears are just in their shoulders and they can't stop moving.
Well, aren't they're in a constant state of tense?
Yeah, totally.
Makes sense.
And then the last scan that we do in our office is the scan, I think that probably really applies to everyone. It's far interesting, and you see it in the world, is it's measuring our heart rate variability, so our HRV. So if you have an Oura Ring, a Whoop, an Apple Watch, and it tells you, like, you know, how your sleep score is and all that, it essentially is doing that, but on a very micro level and a very data-driven level. And so we have two parts of our nervous system. We have our fight or flight, and we have rest and digest. Now, we need to be able to bounce between both of those at any minute. If someone slams on their brakes in front of us, we need to slam on our brakes too and respond quickly, and our heart rate's going to go up and we're going to start sweating.
Yeah.
But then when we get home, we need to be a nice person to our family and like eat dinner and digest our dinner and be able to fall asleep quickly and easily.
simply relax.
Right? And relax, right? And what we're seeing, and especially after COVID, is everyone is just stuck right now in fight or flight. They can't.
And we see that.
Right. Yeah, you guys probably see it all the time. It's like they just can't, like, get their bodies out of it. But if we, again, go back to those first two scans, if your body can't communicate with itself, which we always see in the first scan, it's using all of its energy to keep your muscles tight. No wonder you're stuck in fight or flight. You can't process through anything that you're doing. And so everything that you perceive is perceived through stress.
Right. And even if if your brain is sending messages of this is rest time now, your body isn't receiving it.
No. And so that's why then, like, insomnia
makes so
is
much
a
sense
really
to me.
big thing. It's like, and women especially, I always say, like, if they have trouble sleeping, right? It's like, okay, well, are you tired? You hit probably a wall at 2:00, and then you're tired all day, and you lay in bed at night, and you're like, I'm so excited to go to sleep. But then you could scroll on TikTok for 2 hours. Right?
You just explain, like, every woman's experience. Literally. And you're just like, I'm not tired at all. I'm going to watch a show. Right? And then you lay down in bed and you're like, I just, like, can't fall asleep. Or you wake up throughout the night.
Yeah.
And you're like, I couldn't sleep through the night to save my life. It's like, that's not normal. That's common. It's common, but it's not normal. Right?
And what an important distinction. Right?
Totally. Right. A lot of these symptoms are common, but not normal. Right? And we normalize a lot of these things, like, sleeping good when you hit menopause, or not sleeping good when you hit menopause is just normal, right? Sorry.
Right.
Hot flashes, just normal. Your crazy cycle, normal, right?
So you're saying that, and these scans are like the whole body. So you go over the whole body with these 3 scans.
Yep.
And then in that first visit, you show people this data?
Yeah. So usually our new patient process is going to be a 2-day visit. So the first one is for me to like really play investigator, get a really good information from you of what's happening in your body, what you're noticing, maybe asking the questions that people don't ask. You don't get time with a doctor to ask, right?
Sure.
And then from there, we'll take your scans, and that gives me time then to sit down with the scans and actually like say, okay, what's happening here? What am I seeing? What connections can I make? Mm-hmm. And then on your next visit, that's when we sit down and I have a little TV in my office and we project your scans up on the screen and it tears notes. I'm writing notes on it, and it's probably a little overwhelming. I fire hose you with like information about your body.
But it's incredible and it's emotional and it's like I said, it's just for any human, it's so validating because we all feel stress.
Yeah.
We all feel our bodies like in a state of unrest, but to then see it and have it explained in a way that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And you do such a beautiful job of that in that. So we see it. We also, and I think that's what sets you apart from, I've gone to chiropractors in the past where honest to God, none of the scans, no education, like she sits down at her desk and is literally like getting background information where I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm in therapy. Like, but you need that information to create a clear picture. In the past, it would be, I'd go to the office, they'd literally lay me down a thing, crack my back and neck, and then see ya. They knew nothing about me. Mm-hmm. And that's a huge difference between you, and I applaud you for that because I think that is why so many people come to you, because you see them as the whole patient, the whole body, and the experience. And so they now, before you even get them on a table, they have viewed the scans. You've kind of set up then a plan for that person. Mm-hmm. And then it begins.
And then the beauty of adjustments.
And all of those things would really inform that entire process, which makes it would help us as patients understand even what to commit to.
Right.
Because we know what we're committing to. And there's meaning making around, why is my body experiencing this?
Totally.
We can then kind of connect some dots on what's happening for us.
Right. And I think a difference, and a big distinct difference that honestly my brother really helped me was in his, because I worked at his chiropractic office prior, is like, we're not bringing people into their healthcare journeys. We're just telling them, right? And if you're coming with like mega back pain, like you're just like, whatever, do whatever you need to do, right? Or if you go to the doctor and your kid's got an ear infection and you have no idea, one, like you've never had a kid with an ear infection, you have no idea what to do. Mm-hmm. You just are like, okay, I'll do whatever you want.
Yeah. Surrender to whatever they're...
Yes.
Right.
Because you're like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. And so that's a big thing in our office is like, we want to like walk with you in this journey of your health because like it's truly, it can be one of the most confusing journeys you ever walk. Mm-hmm. And it's overwhelming. Mm-hmm. And often you're just having people tell you what's wrong with you, and then they're like, okay, take this or do this, and it's good. But I want you to understand why we're doing it.
Yeah.
Because it's way more impactful.
So question on that then, do you tell people, could our listeners say, well, do I sign up for chiropractic care forever? What's the trajectory look like?
Totally. I always joke with my patients. I was like, your chiropractic care is up to you, right? Like I'm going to tell you what I think is best for you to get you out of the storm. But from there, like, it's up to you. Usually my patients don't ever want to quit, right? Stresses.
I will say,
well, because the stressors don't stop.
Yeah,
you know, I could see where life circumstances, and if maybe your body is like, oh, this is our predisposition for how we store that because we've done it forever. That we would then have kind of a little bit of a default button of, as you say, things that fire together, wire together. That we get then used to the habitual nature. Our bodies get used to that habitual nature.
Totally.
And can you explain, this isn't just a one and done process. This isn't also necessarily something that we think stereotypically once a week and you're good to go.
Right.
Healing takes time.
Yeah.
So what does a patient's commitment entail for truly healing your body?
Yeah, right. There's no process that doesn't take time. Right. And so, and especially you guys have probably seen this in therapy, like, I'd love to adjust you one time and your body is just great and the healing's gone. Like, that'd be so cool. It's just, like, not realistic, right? Mm-hmm. And so the biggest thing about our office is we very much so individualize care plans because that's just it. Every body is so different, right? And the amount of stress that you're storing and what I'm seeing, like, we just need different things. And so Usually our initial phase of care is at least 3 months. And I always joke, especially with babies, because I will give these parents these care plans. I'm like, okay, your kid needs to come like twice a week for 12 weeks. And they're like, what? And I'm like, I know. Like, you never thought that you were going to be coming to the chiropractor 12 times, much less for your 2-month-old, right? Yeah. But it's like, well, if this stress has been in that 2-month-old life since 100% of the time since she was born, but then also in utero, it's like, wow, like, we got a lot of work to do. A lot more than 2 months. Right.
Well, and think of it from adult perspective.
Yeah.
You've been going through this stress, and your body's been enduring this for 40 years.
Yeah, totally.
You can't undo that.
Right.
In a month.
Right. And that's like that first chunk of care, our corrective phase, is like the hard work. That's when we are like peeling back the layers of the onion of your nervous system. And from there, like, you've done the hard work, you've done like that healing, and it's not like you're staying at twice a week for the rest of your life or 3 times a week or whatever it may be.
Makes sense.
It's like, then it's like, okay, we can like drop you down because your body has built stamina. Another analogy I use for patients when they first come in and we're talking about frequency of care, it's like when you start running again, right? When you start running again, it's really hard and it's not easy and you hate it. And then eventually every time, though, it gets a little bit easier, right? The first few adjustments don't always feel great. Like, your body is like, what are you doing to me? I'm tired. I'm crabby. I'm probably a little sore, right? And then it's like, as you get adjusted more and more and more, it's like, oh, like, I am sleeping better. I'm seeing all these soft signs. I'm maybe realizing my mind's not spinning at 2 p.m. or I don't need the coffee or soda or water to get me through the day, right? You always need water. But, yeah, this is a bad example. But it's like you see those soft signs just build up, and that's your body releasing stress and building resilience, right? And so
you're moving from this flight and fight to more of that
kind of balance between the two. Exactly.
Okay.
And so from there, I would say, you know, patients who have been with me from the start, some of them I see once a month. I see most every other week at like the least, but a lot of my patients just choose to be weekly because stress never stops. I'm not worried about, you know, how you, like I said, how your body feels. I am worried about how your body feels, but like my biggest thing is how is your body pushing back up on stress? Because stress is always going to be pushing down on us, right? And so
absolutely hear that.
Yeah, so it's like if stress is pushing down harder in one moment of your life than it is in the other, you might need more care in that moment of life when stress is pushing down.
Yeah.
But when life is flowing and things are feeling easy and good and you are in a state of flow, right? It's like, well, maybe every other week is great for your body then, right? And so it's very variable and adaptable. But my biggest thing is, are we keeping up with the stress, or is stress starting to put your body into an overwhelm? Right?
Totally. And if we had listeners out there who are saying my body might be pushing into an overwhelm,
right?
How do they find you?
Yeah, totally. So you can always reach out to us, Be Well Chiropractic. We're in Chanhassen. Reach out to us on Instagram and social medias. We're very prevalent on there. So Be Well Chiro MN. But honestly, we try to make it really easy because most of the time, like I said, we're a big kids office, and most of the times we get moms in their midnight scroll when their kids are up screaming and they don't know what to do, or just women in general are up in their midnight scroll because they can't fall back asleep.
Yeah.
We try to make it really easy. So make an appointment online and we can go from there. And the great thing is, because like, I mean, I know Tara and she's amazing, and like I know her people. It's like we want everyone to have access to this, right? And so for all of our listeners today, we'll offer those free new patient exams so you can see what we're talking about. Just mention Feels Out Loud when you book on our website.
That's amazing.
Yeah, because like, we want you to see it. We want you to experience it. Because you don't know what you don't know.
We don't know what we don't know. I think that's one of my hugest takeaways from this conversation with you, that I think and Tara and I talk about curiosity all the time, probably every single week. When we embrace this idea of I don't know what I don't know, and I'm always learning about myself and how I function, I'm learning about relationships, we can have this expansive mindset of what helps us. And this has been like I don't know. I mean, there's so many words to describe this.
Mind-blowing. And I want to say, too, if you're having a midnight scroll, so your website is bewellchiromn.com. And then if you want to just directly reach out, it's 952-934-3301 for Be Well Chiropractic.
I love this so much. We're going to head to a commercial break. But when we come back, we're going to talk through some listener questions, Dr. Lauren, about chiropractic care. It's going to be great. Feels Out Loud is going to process your questions and all of your thoughts in just a moment.
You gotta find the people in a world full of strangers. You don't know who to trust. All you see is danger.
We are back again with Feels Out Loud, and this is the part of the show where we talk through questions from you all, our listeners. If you have a question related to mental wellness, sharing feelings, or topics for each week that you would like us to process through, please visit our website at becomingtogethermn.com and find that Feels Out Loud page to submit a question directly. Or you can email us at contact@becomingtogethermn.com. We absolutely want to hear from you, everyone, and what you're wondering about. And we had a lot of questions today.
We did. And a ginormous thank you to our listeners who have sent in questions about healing our nervous system. I love this first question because it comes from someone who is not going through a prenatal experience. This person is not a new mom. You do see everyone. So your focus is on just adults in general as well. So this person, I've never been in an accident, never suffered any kind of trauma that has made me need to search out a chiropractor in their eyes. Can I simply begin working with one even if I don't have a large amount of stress in my life?
Totally. Yeah. It's at some point, right, there's physical, emotional, chemical stressors, right? Things we eat would be like emotional, things we breathe, air. Physical,
Good
obviously,
point.
even if, like, when you were a baby, you probably fell down when you were learning to walk, right?
Yeah.
We've probably all run into something, or we've had stress, right?
Yeah.
And so even if it's not these big cathartic things that are life-changing,
Right.
it's still stress, and micro-stress builds on. If you sit at a desk all day,
Oh, great.
Right.
that's
Well,
like the new smoking.
great
Yeah,
point.
you know,
Yes.
one
Great
of my
point.
takeaways from the whole conversation of the
Yeah.
last segment might be to this listener, you might not even know that you are experiencing the stress
Totally.
because part of what we may be doing
Right.
is not conceptualizing that way.
Right.
Your body is adapting, which is awesome,
Totally.
and so you might not even know what you don't know.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah. And that's what those scans really show us. And as we talk, patients will often talk through, I'll say is there anything in your body that you feel that you're I don't think a chiropractor could help me with this. And then they're like, well, I guess I have, X, Y, and Z. And it's
Yep. That's you, girl.
Yeah.
Yep.
yep. That's
totally
your
see-
nervous system.
I totally
Yeah.
see that. And we say on the mental health side, you don't necessarily have to have had something catastrophic in order to seek out care. So I hear you saying, no, you don't have to have something catastrophic in order to promote wellness.
Right. Totally.
And you might not be even knowing the
Right.
stressors that exist on your body.
And
Love that.
if you are the unicorn in this world who still has no stress, and stress is not even pushing down on you, God bless you.
And you probably want to meet that unicorn.
Yeah, I would like to meet you, but I also like to look at your nervous system because I want to keep it that way because life ebbs and
great
flows.
point to maintain.
Right? And it's this isn't
That's a
about
really good point.
right. You don't work out just for maybe you work out at the beginning just to work out to lose weight or whatever it is. But if you're building a lifestyle habit, it's like building the lifestyle habit.
Yeah.
Right. You just
That's a great point.
It's so much of what we talk about on this show that sustainability
Right.
is truly, and from a wellness model, it is seeing how to maintain something. It isn't only fixing what's broken, responding from sickness. That will occur.
Totally.
But if we really are looking at a wellness model, we would be saying, how do I promote that
Right.
from a preventative space?
Right.
And so I love this idea that you even say, you might not, if you are not experiencing stress, how do we help your
Totally.
body sustain that
Right.
that way of functioning?
Right. This is an interesting thing in the chiropractic world. They say is for we talk about disease, right? But if your body's not functioning, it's at dis-ease, right? With a hyphen between dis and ease, right?
Yeah.
And so does dis-ease lead
Yeah.
to disease,
Well,
right?
Wow.
and you said, and I this really was striking to me today, that we only know about 10%. 90% of functioning is happening before we may reach that symptom space of 10%. So if we aren't necessarily feeling something yet, that doesn't mean that you wouldn't see scans and say there isn't still something going on.
Totally.
That if someone reaches out to you and doesn't have something major
Right.
occurring, they're still in that 90% part. It just hasn't gotten to that 10%. And
Totally.
Please reach out
Yeah.
to Be Well.
Yeah, we'd love to see you, everyone.
This has been like an incredible discussion.
So
We've reached
incredible.
the end of our show for today. But thank you for coming.
thanks for having me.
This has been totally eye-opening for me in what is like, I'm going to be thinking about this all week. Join us next week as we talk about what's really interesting related to this, the importance of self-care. And in the week ahead, be kind to yourself, everyone. Remember that connection fosters wellness, and your voice is one that the world around you needs to hear. Share yourselves, friends.
Some will, some won't. I wanna feel just a little.